Hello, hi campers. Okay, so today we are going to make penne with pesto. And penne is a type of pasta, and you have all of your ingredients already measured out for you. So this dish is a vegetarian dish that we are going to make with the beautiful herb of basil. And I hope you guys enjoy this process. Pesto is one of my favorite sauces for pasta, just because it's not as saucy. It sticks to the pasta and it gives it so much wonderful flavor. So you should have some pasta here. And this is a penne. Penne is usually marked by ridges and then the asymmetrical cuts on the side. Then you'll have garlic. I'm using this garlic today. You might have full garlic bulbs, but these are already made garlic cloves that are easy to use at home. You'll have some olive oil and some Parmesan cheese. Okay. Oh, and let's not forget basil. Lots and lots of basil. So I like to make this dish in the sauce in something called a mortar and pestle. And this is a mortar and pestle. And basically when you use a mortar and pestle, oh, just so you know, you guys don't have one. I'm just showing you what I use at home in case you might want to get one at some point. But a mortar and pestle is used to grind up items inside. And you would just take it and crush it. And it's a noisy process, but you're really just grinding up whatever you put inside of there really well. And in this case, you would be making a pesto sauce. And if you can see that, it had already disintegrated that basil. And you would put like your garlic in here, and you can do the whole thing in one jar. Another way to make pesto is putting all the ingredients into a blender or food processor. So there I put a little oil with the garlic and basil. And then eventually you have so much in here that you would be able to like pour it out. But I just wanted to demonstrate that with a little bit. This one is pretty heavy. It's big. They're not expensive, but if you are somebody who wants to grind and crush herbs, I highly recommend you get one of these. Okay. The first thing we want to do is we have all of our ingredients. The first thing you need is a pot full of water. And I have this pot here. Now, the size of the pot only matters because of the pasta, right? So if you have 8 ounces of pasta, you're going to need quite a few cups of water, and the pasta has to be able to cook and absorb the water. So my pot here is about 3/4 of the way full, and I'm going to turn it on high heat and add salt. How much salt? I want to make my water salty like the sea. So that's a lot of salt. But don't worry, the salt absorbs into the pot and into the pasta so that it flavors the pasta and you have seasoned pasta versus flavorless pasta. So I'm using coarse kosher salt. You can use any kind of salt you want. There are tons of different types of salt, but this is the one I use to cook with the most often. So I'm just gonna, like a 1/4 cup of salt, and turn my heat on high. You want it on high. And you let that sit. Let me show you what the heat looks like on the pot. That's a high heat. Okay. You want that pasta to get nice and boily, if that's a word, boily. Okay, we're gonna start with our basil. Basil is the foundation of a pesto, And you will notice that some of the leaves are small, some are large, some might have brown tints on them. And we're going to pick the basil, and I'm going to show you how to make sure you get the best basil out of your bunches. There we go. Let's move some stuff out of the way. And we're just going to take it, and this is after you have washed it. You need to wash it and then pat them dry with paper towels or a clean kitchen towel. And we want to just take the pieces off like that. And you leave the stem. This one is a little sad looking, so we'll put that guy to the side. He will go in the compost. And then take off as much of the stem as possible. You don't want the long stems. No long pieces. If it's bent like this, it's okay. We can still use it. So just take the little pieces off. And you should have 2 to 3 bunches of basil. It sounds like a lot, but you got to remember this is the basis of our sauce. So we have to have enough to make a good sauce. And we'll just peel it off like that. There are several different types of basil that you can find. There are so many different ones, and this is just a basic Italian version that is used in a lot of different cookings. But there are lots of other types of basil, and I encourage you to learn about herbs and their health benefits. So we're going to take this apart. Now don't forget about your water. It's on high heat. It's going in the background. You can just wait for it to boil. And we're just going to pick all of these off. And this is one of those dishes that, you know, it's not exact measurements because of the nature of the herbs. So we want to just eyeball it, use what we can. That one is okay. It's not too bad. And blemishes are okay. It's different if something is blemished or if it's an entire leaf that has started to change color and flavor. I recommend you taste the basil raw right now to get a little taste of what it is like, the flavor profile before it is cooked into the pasta dish. Basil is a wonderful plant to grow in your garden. It attracts all of the beneficial bees and butterflies. They love the fragrance of basil. Whenever I grow food, I make sure I have basil in the yard just because it attracts the bees, but it also just smells wonderful. And at different times of the day, when it's windy, the wind will blow the fragrance right on into your window. This looks good. So we'll just keep going and going along. Don't forget about your water in the background. So we're going to do a deconstructed type of pesto because you want to be able to learn how to make it even if you don't have a food processor or a mortar and pestle or a blender. You could do it and you can chop it all up. So we'll go over all of those. This might not be enough, but I have more basil if I need it. So if we were using exclusively the mortar and pestle, you would do like this. And just grind it. Some pestos contain pine nuts. We're not working with pine nuts today. They can be a potential allergen. And this is kind of like something I think is really to do if you're having some feelings. It's a stress reliever to put something in the mortar and pestle and work it around. So that's the illustration again of that. But we're just going to take this basil and pile it up. I'm going to get some more. I don't think this is enough. Where did I put it? Getting more of my basil just to make sure that there is enough for the pasta. So keep on peeling away, getting the good pieces. This is a very simple sauce, only a couple of ingredients. All right, let's see if that is enough. And we're rough chopping. And I'm holding my knife like this for stability. But you can also do it like this. But I just find this really helps me to break it down really well. And we want this to be small, small, small. So we'll just keep on going and we'll break it down so that all the oils come out. The natural oils of the basil. And just continue to work it around on your board, move it around, pile it up, scrape. And in my case, drink some water. I have water over here. I'm always drinking water. But you want to pile it up and keep on chopping. Your board and your hands and your knife will start to turn green. That's normal. That's all the oils coming from the basil. Have you guys heard of essential oils? Well, essential oils come from these plants and they're extracted from the plant. And this is something like if you were going to make an oil at home, you'd make sure that you can extract the natural plant oils out of it. And essential oils are just highly concentrated levels of those things. This is looking really good. So you want to get a bowl so that you can put your basil in the bowl. We can even take it a little bit farther than this. Keep chopping, keep chopping. Beautiful. This is like your one dish prep, your one board prep and all that type of stuff. Everything's going together. So you can literally just put it in. Now we're going to mince our garlic. Now mincing is something that I like to do too because, again, it's not uniform. So we've got the basil, but now we have the garlic. What you want to do is put your knife on top of there and do like this. smash it. And you're smashing 5 cloves of garlic. If you have whole garlic, you will take it and do this. I like to just take the top and peel back a little bit because I feel like I'm opening a present. And then peel off the skin. This should be tightly packed in, all white, not discolored. And you see the skin is still on there, so to get it off, this is what you do. That's one way to get that skin off. You can also roll it under a paper towel. It depends on your preference, but we want to take this off. Now, garlic will get your hands sticky, you guys. It will just happen. So when you need to take a break to wash your hands, feel free to do that. So the recipe calls for 5 cloves. I realize I have more than that because I was showing you both the types of garlic, the whole bulb versus the pre-peeled. So and you want to just keep your knife in very tiny movements and hold the garlic steady. And you want to do your first chop very rough, but make sure you do all of the garlic that you're going to use first. So then you can go back in and mince. Now I'm starting to hear the water on the stove is bubbling. So it's starting to boil. I'm going to put my knife down, wash my hands, and then go to the pot. Okay? All right, it looks like our water is ready for the pasta. So I'll show you what it looks like. Got the bubbles going on the sides of the pot. Now I'm going to pour in the pasta. And I'm just going to stir one time. That's it. And let it cook. Penne pasta is a thick pasta. It takes a little while longer to cook this particular type of pasta versus a spaghetti, an angel hair, or even a fettuccine. It should have a bite, but not be hard. So you want something, and they call it al dente. It's the mid-range between being super soft and hard. So you want it to be to the tooth, which is what al dente means, which means it has a little bite, a little give back to it. It doesn't just disintegrate into your mouth. You don't want to overcook your pasta. So we'll go back to the garlic. And this isn't a banging motion. This is just a gentle push with a little force behind it so that you get the garlic. So right now it's pretty big. So now we're going to go through the process of mincing, making this garlic very small. And really the reason why you want to make this garlic very small is you don't want a big garlicky bite in your mouth. This type of sauce is not one that cooks a long time. It is really just mixing in with the basil and the oil, salt and pepper, Parmesan. It's mixing in with the ingredients, and the pasta, the heat from the pasta is what's going to cook it. So you don't want big chunks of raw garlic because that will take over your whole palate and you won't be able to taste any of the other flavors that were used in this dish. So the key to mincing is going in all sorts of directions, right? So that you are cutting the garlic in many angles to get it to become as small as you can get it with your knife. And again, your hands are probably going to be sticky like mine. The oil from the garlic is very strong and sticky. It's almost there. I want to just keep on going. Don't forget about your pasta. I haven't forgotten about it. We'll check on it in just a moment. But this is what you want to do. That's looking real good. All right, let's put this in the bowl with the basil. And now I'm going to wash my hands. And my knife. It's very sticky. Okay, we should have clean hands, clean knife. I'm just going to give the board a quick wipe down, just a little bit. And then we're going to check on our pasta. And I'm sure it's not ready yet, but we want to look at it anyway. So when you put pasta into a pot of boiling water, it temporarily lowers the temperature. So it won't boil as vigorously for a moment, and then it will come back up. This is the type of pasta I like to go in and make sure they're not stuck together while they're cooking. Stirring pasta is not necessarily what you want to do, but when you have this type, as well as fettuccine and a couple of others, you have to work really hard not to make it so it won't stick to each other. And then you have a really bad situation with sticky yucky pasta. Nobody likes that because it won't cook all the way. And we want it to cook thoroughly. So I'm grabbing my salt and pepper, my olive oil, and half of the Parmesan cheese. I'm going to pour the oil into the bowl. And again, everything is already measured out for you. As a chef over the years, I have learned to do what we call eyeball measurements, where it's like, look, like just we know what a thing is after so many years. You want to stir it up. Look at that beautiful pesto. Let's add just a little dash of salt. And this is what I mean, just a little bit of salt. Parmesan is salty. It's a salty cheese, and it hits your taste buds in so many areas. So that's one of the reasons why people love it so much. But you don't want to add too much salt because you're using Parmesan. There's the pepper. And that's what I mean when I say salt and pepper, whatever you're making. You just start with a little bit and you work your way up so that you know how it tastes, and you have an opportunity to fix it if anything goes wrong. And then cheese. Ooh, look at that. So here's where it gets even more fun. You need to taste this so you can see how the flavors are, okay? And yes, this doesn't look like a sauce. It's more like a paste, okay? When you get the wet pasta in with this sauce, you'll see. It's gonna be beautiful. Speaking of pasta, check on your pasta. Let's go back to the stove. And as you learn to cook and go through the process of cooking more times, you'll be able to tell by the color of pasta when it's almost done and not have to taste it or pull it out or touch it. That's almost al dente. It's not there yet, though. There we go. Let me get all set up for you guys. Okay, back to the bowl. Did you taste it yet? Now's the time to taste it. Just get a little bit. It's very garlicky. Very garlicky. I'm going to add a little more of the Parmesan. And a little more oil. So if you feel the same way about yours, go right ahead. That extra garlic was a bit too much for this, but we're gonna roll with it. My family loves garlic. But I don't think it needs any more salt or pepper, okay? What you wanna do now is get yourself a pan, and we're going to heat this through in a pan before the pasta is ready, and then mix them both together, okay? I am using a non-stick pan. Feel free to use what you have at your disposal. In this non-stick pan, I won't need to add any oil. And if you're not using a non-stick, you might need to put a little bit of oil in the pan. I'm going to turn this on medium heat. And I'll show you. The pasta is still on high. That's what the pasta is looking like. If you want to test your pasta, get a fork and put a fork right through one of those pieces of pasta. Like this. And I ended up with 2, but that's okay. Let it cool off. Blow it. You can even put it on a table or a counter to check if you don't want it. It's not ready yet. We're gonna use another minute. But I don't know if you can see the way that looks. You can see it's lighter on the outside than the middle of the circle. And that is the to the tooth factor. So it needs to cook just a little while longer, but it will be that perfect bite. Right now, it's a little too tough. Okay, so stir your pasta. It is possible, depending on your pot and your stove, that your pasta is done. If your pasta is finished, turn it off and leave it there. Okay? Turn it off and leave it there. Don't drain it. Don't do anything. Turn the pot off and leave it there. Now take your sauce and put it in your pan that is on medium heat. Here is your pan. You should have heard a nice little sizzle. It's on medium heat. I'm going to give that a stir. And you should be able to smell the garlic and see the cheese melting a little bit, getting a little stringy. Perfect. If you like spicy stuff, crushed red pepper goes wonderfully in this. It does. Your pasta's still going. It's almost done. Or if it's done, it's turned off, but it's still sitting in the water. Lower the heat on your sauce. Too low. Put it all the way on low. See that? It's barely on. Put it on low. Okay. Test the pasta. Perfect. Oh, that's right. I'm going to turn it off. The pasta should taste salty because we've salted the water. It should be to the tooth and not soggy. We're leaving it in the water for 2 reasons. Sometimes when you're making a sauce, it's too thin. It lacks a little flavor, or it's too thick, or there are different things that happen. It's not sticking to the pasta. There are a number of things that can happen. By saving your pasta water, you could be saving your dish, because sometimes you need to just put a little bit of that water that was in the pot with the pasta into the pan or bowl or whatever to kind of get the sauce going right. So I leave the water and I leave the pasta, unless it's a very thin pasta and the pasta has to come out or it's really bad. So I'm getting a ladle for the pasta water, and then I'm getting a scoop for the pasta. And what we're going to do is put the pasta directly into the pan with that beautiful pesto sauce. And you should see that garlic smell has kind of gotten really wonderful. The oil has come out and the cheese is melting. So this is what I'm doing. This method does not work for you. You can strain your pasta into a bowl, but save some of the liquid and then pour it in. But this seems to be a really easy solution here. And you want to stir occasionally. Let that sauce stick. Let it stick. All of the pasta. Right? And it's okay, it's not sticking, but that's why we have what? Our pasta water, but we also have Parmesan cheese. The Parmesan that has not melted is going to make the sauce stick together. So this is what I call like the 2 cheese approach. Because there we have it. Oh, that looks so good. It's creamy, but still got that classic pesto feel, right? I'm going to pour this into a bowl to make it easier. Okay. So I poured it into a bowl to make it easier. So this is a very creamy, melty pesto. That looks delicious, doesn't it? And we didn't even need that pasta water. But look at that. Oh my goodness. Now, if you don't like the melty cheese, you can do the pesto in a more traditional way where you toss the sauce that was here with the pasta by itself. But my family really loves that when I melt it. They enjoy it so much. I'm going to show you guys how to plate this and make it look real pretty. So like I said a little while ago, I love crushed red pepper, and particularly on pasta dishes, it just is really fun. Okay. A white shallow bowl. Chefs always use clear white plates. You can use what you have, but that's what I have. So you start in the middle and build your beautiful tower of pasta, right? And you can make it as high as you want to go. You know, the higher, the more excited people get. You know, when it's like way up there. But this looks about right for me. Then I'm going to take Parmesan cheese from up high and do like this. And then red chili flakes. So you want to be super duper fancy? If you saved any of that basil from earlier, you take one leaf and you just slice it into ribbons. You don't need a lot. Put that on top. And the last and final step, paper towel, a little water. You're gonna wipe your plate off, or in my case, your shallow bowl. There you go. That's your pesto pasta. Let's taste it. You know how we have to do every time. We have to taste it. Let's see. That turned out really great. All right, kids. This is great with chicken, fish, shrimp. You know, you could also just serve it with a salad and bread. That's what I'm going to do today. Thank you guys for having me in this class. It's been fantastic. To those who are used to my live sessions, I'll be back. I hope you all enjoyed today's class, and I will see you on Wednesday.